here is my list of the top 10 films of 2024. At number 10, Twisters. This film gave me a very similar feeling to that of Top Gun: Maverick back in 2022. Glenn Powell clearly picking good projects, by taking a classic beloved film and giving it a modern day remake slash reboot that offers a new story without heavily relying on the nostalgia of the first one, bringing in new and old fans alike. It's a simple enough film that has no real agenda other than to give its audiences a good time at the movies, and it succeeded, at least for me. Not to mention the Twisters album was kept on repeat at my house all year long. Number 9, Deadpool and Wolverine. This was an overall really fun movie. It acted as a great farewell piece to the Fox Marvel universe and was also a welcome entry to these characters entering the MCU. Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman will always be perfect casting for these roles, and it was a ton of fun watching these two iconic characters share the screen and play off of each other. The only reason this movie isn't higher up on my list is due to the fact that it unfortunately solidified just how fatigued I am with the current state of Marvel and this multiverse saga. But this was definitely the most fun I've had with Marvel in a really long time, and I'm hoping that Marvel projects going forward will excite me as much as this one did. At number 8, I have Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. I think I'm in the minority of people who might think this, but to me, this was a major step up from Fury Road. The revenge narrative was something I was fully invested in, and the world building was way more intriguing than it's ever been, diving deeper into details about the different factions and fight for power taking place in this apocalyptic world. Anya Taylor-Joy is a worthy successor to Charlize Theron's version of Furiosa and turns in a great performance. But it's actually Chris Hemsworth who gives my favorite performance of the film. You can tell he is having an absolute blast on screen playing this sinister slime bag. Overall, I went in with pretty low expectations with this one since I'm not a die-hard Mad Max fanatic, and I was thrilled by how much I actually loved it. Coming in at number 7, I have Gladiator 2. I am a huge fan of the original Gladiator, so this was one of my most anticipated films of the year. And while it by no means is as good as the first one, this was still a solidly entertaining Gladiator film. Everyone is giving their A game in this, from Paul Mescal to Denzel Washington, Pedro Pascal, but the real star of this is Ridley Scott, who you have to commend for still creating big action spectacles on this scale at 87 years old. Really a film legend. Overall, I was entertained by this sequel. I mean, sharks swimming around the Coliseum is pretty cool. What can I say? I'm a simple man. At number 6, I have Hitman. Between this and Twisters, Glenn Powell most certainly deserves the award of Movie Star of the Year. With the plot of a quiet professor moonlighting as a bunch of different hitmen for people all with different and eccentric personalities, Glenn Powell is given a lot to do and plenty of opportunities to showcase his talent. But this film has a sharp screenplay written by the same person who did the Before trilogy, which I think is phenomenally written. And this was just a solid action comedy that I really hope doesn't get lost on Netflix because it's really good. Bringing us into the top 5, I have Challengers. Speaking of sharp screenplays, this movie also has one of my favorite screenplays of the year, with the back and forth rhythm of the game of tennis being used as a metaphor for the relationships of 3 very toxic people. What could have been a simple movie about a love triangle is highly elevated by fantastic performances, sharp dialogue, and impressive camera shots. By the last 20 minutes, I was on the edge of my seat, taking in every detail of the characters' actions and words. Zendaya's character in this is pretty terrible, but that being said, she was very good at playing this very obsessed, egotistic tennis player, and I hope she does get recognized for her performance. Number 4, Alien Romulus. So I'm a big fan of the Alien franchise, so this was another one I was very excited for, and it did not disappoint. I absolutely loved it, and it was tense and engaging, and plenty of scenes that were top-tier Alien moments for me. I love how it brings back the simplicity of the science fiction horror elements of the original Ridley Scott Alien, while also bringing in some gripping science fiction action of the James Cameron Aliens. This was easily the best the franchise has been since those original 2 classics. Bringing us into the top 3, I have Inside Out 2. This film took everything charming and wonderful about the first one and expanded on it beautifully. It is a funny, sweet, thoughtful, and an emotionally complex story that I found very cathartic. This is definitely up there as one of the best Pixar sequels, possibly its only competitor being Toy Story in my opinion. But regardless, it is most definitely the best that Disney has done in years. It's funny because I almost feel like this film is much more aimed towards teens and adults than children. Young children might not comprehend the feeling of anxiety, but it still managed to strike a chord with a lot of people. It handles a very common issue with such maturity and understanding, and paints the image of growing up and changing in such a beautiful way. At number 2, I have Wicked. Okay, now this for me was one of my biggest surprises of the year. I had little to no expectations for this film. I mean, I had heard Defying Gravity and Popular a couple of times as they're so ingrained on pop culture, but I had never seen the Broadway show before. But this film was good, like really good, like one of the best films of the year good. I apologize for every ounce of doubt I had towards this film because it exceeded my expectations in virtually every way. The scale of this production was massive, and I loved seeing the use of practical sets to bring this world to life. This took me back to the feeling I had of watching Harry Potter for the first time, creating a magical world that felt so real, full of rich colors and lively characters. Every musical number was magical, with hundreds of extras in camera, singing and dancing, using set pieces to fuel the energy of each scene. Cynthia Erivo gives such a powerful lead performance, giving me actual chills in several of her singing performances. Ariana Grande also turns in a really good performance here. She was very funny, likable, and the two leads play off of each other very well. I was completely captivated by this one, and now I can't wait for part 2 next year. But speaking of part 2, that leads me to my number 1 pick of the best movie of 2024, which is of course Dune Part 2. This movie blew me away. I was a massive fan of the first Dune, and this film took everything I loved about that first one and expanded on it. There are so many intricate details that make this world feel so real, with easily some of the best CGI ever put to film. It transports you to this fictional world of Arrakis that is so interesting and vibrant that you physically cannot look away. Denis Villeneuve is consistently proving himself to be one of the best working directors today. The scale of this production was so big that it felt like a cinematic event. All of the events set up in the first Dune are unfolding, and the end product is extremely well done and emotionally satisfying. The Sandworm riding scene was easily one of the coolest and best moments I watched in the theater this year. The one word that comes to mind when describing this movie is epic. Once Part 3 is greenlit and the trilogy can come into full fruition, this is destined to be etched into epic cinema history with greats such as Star Wars and Lord of the Rings. Now, this was my subjective ranking. There were still several movies that I loved this year that didn't make this list, but I would love to hear yours. What are your top 10 favorite movies of 2024? What did I leave off of this list? Please comment down below, and I'll talk to you guys later.